Now, it's been an historic week in the Democratic Republic of Congo. In the very early hours of Thursday morning, the country's election commission finally declared, after several days of delay, that the opposition candidate, Félix Tshisekedi, had won last month's presidential election. But hopes that the country will have its first democratic transfer of power in its 59 years of independence are in a certain amount of doubt. Another opposition candidate, Martin Fayulu, described the result as a coup and announced that he would mount a legal challenge to Mr. Tshisekedi's victory. Speaking to the BBC's NewsHour programme, he accused the current president, Joseph Kabila, of manipulating the result.
We'll do, what we have to do to get the truth, because the people of Congo, the Congolese went to the poll and they made the choice. And the choice is clear. Everybody knows the choice, and we cannot accept any arrangement between Mr. Kabila and anyone who wants to be in power. Mr. Félix Tshisekedi has been nominated by Mr. Kabila to perpetrate the Kabila regime, because today the boss is Kabila.
Well, here in the studio is the Congolese politician Okito Tongomo, who's based in the UK. Welcome. Good morning.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Fayulu's remarks, first of all, you heard him there talking to NewsHour. What do you make of his concerns and the fact that he is now going to take this court hearing up?
I think it's something we have to look in a couple of different ways. I do respect Fayulu a lot, and I'm happy to hear his view and his position on this, which is very reasonable. I may have a different way we look at these things, because it's been a very challenging election and a difficult time for Congolese people. We have witnessed a different strategy even during the campaign. I think Mr. Fayulu should remember that he had a very strategic campaign. He was telling people not to vote if they were going to put an electoral machine. But at the same time, Mr. Tshisekedi was using his vote, telling them to vote for him. If they don't vote, if anyhow they come to the polling station and they find out that there is an electoral machine and the Fayulu is telling them not to vote, can you still vote for them? So Tshisekedi played a game on that. So I think there's a number of issues Mr. Fayulu have to recognize, and a very powerful statement I have to mention here for Mr. Fayulu. I think we have to look in the future of the country and the interests of our nation. The people of Congo have shown now that above 75% of them have voted for the opposition. Is it clear that people want to see the change? So Mr. Fayulu and Tshisekedi, they've been working for a long time together, and these are the people, I know them well. I think it's time for us to avoid any confusion, because there's no way all of us will be president. They have one vision of the opposition. One of them have to lead the country. I really accept Mr. Fayulu's view when Kabila probably did make an arrangement with Tshisekedi, but I don't have evidence of that, and I can't comment on such things.
But that may emerge in this court process, of course, and if it does, that could be very significant, couldn't it?
Well, definitely it will be a more challenging one, and personally I would never accept if that was the case, because we want to see the opposition leading the country with they won the election, and they really, really need it.
With the Roman Catholic Church questioning the validity of this result, what does that bring to the table in terms of the confusion and the doubt lying ahead?
It's a quite very credible question, especially when you look at the Catholic position in the country, Jill. But look, I think here we got a 40,000 observer out of 75,000 polling station. So we got about 35 polling station Catholic does not have the record of them. So having the correct judgment here until we know a lot bit more about what happened there, it's really needed more time, because to me there's a credible evidence to say that there's a bit challenge to have Mr. Fayulu elected, because he told people not to vote. So that is really a bit challenging issue here. So we are not going to minimize this, and I don't see any reason why Tshisekedi will accept to make any deal with Kabila where he knows that the opposition is leading them.
Let me bring my guests in. Laurie, you were based in Johannesburg for a part of your career. I wonder what your take is on this, and maybe a thought to our guest.
Yeah, it's really complicated there. I think it always is. But I know I've looked at some analysis of the numbers in the last couple of days, and there are some analysts who are saying that they think that when you look at the poll results that came in, you look at all of the data that's around this election, that it's very unlikely that Fayulu lost the election. So if that's the case and there was something that went on, that's a problem, and it's good that they're looking into that. I mean, it is interesting that if people really want an opposition now, they want a new kind of government there. The question is clearly, are they getting one then if Kabila is behind this, and what role would he play, and is it a move to protect something of his position or legacy or people that are around him? I don't think we would presume that's the case, but we don't know.
Miguel Ancho Morado, come in with a thought, and then I'll come back to our guest.
Yes, well, Mr. Tongomo, you said that 75% of the people voted for opposition parties, and yet the opposition is divided. How is it possible to fix that, to present some sort of a united front? And I would like to ask you also about your own presidential ambitions. You represent an important sector of the exiles from Congo. So do you see a way in which you can realize those ambitions in the current situation?
Yes, quite a very interesting question. It is. I'll go through from the last one first, looking at my personal ambition. Being elected as the leader of the Congolese in exile government is so very clear that the Congolese people from the diaspora want to contribute, and they see the clear change in the Congo. This is a country where the value of freedom has been abused for years. And we from the diaspora, we have learned the value of the freedom, and being in the United Kingdom has been a very, very positive outcome, that we believe that one day in the Congo we have to see a stable nation where the Congolese are going to bring a new talent and a new way of life, a new thing for the future of the Congo. And that will be the priority. I can promise you that very soon we will see that happening in the Congo. But number two, coming to your previous question, I think I feel like we have to get more credible evidence to come to a judgment. At the moment, the evidence we have is coming from the Election Commission. They have already clearly mentioned that Mr. Tshisekedi was elected president. And 75% of those electoral voting from those coming from the Election Commission, it shows clear that the opposition won this massively. It's a clear message which I'm working now personally. For the last 3 days, I'm trying now to speak to Fayulu and Tshisekedi. I'm asking both to recognize those elections and to work together for the interest of the country. I know the challenge is from the other side of Mr. Fayulu, who feel like it's not fair for him, but he has already lodged an appeal, which we're going to see what the court are going to say, the High Court are going to have as a final decision on that, but they both have to accept it. At the moment, it's opposition leading.
One last point, and Laurie hinted at this in her observations. What now for Joseph Kabila? What happens to him?
But I think the position has to make it clear at the moment. We have a country where we want to see stability, we want to see a lot bit more a feature country where the freedom of expression have to be there and the justice have to happen. Mr. Kabila have to come to a number of issues that we all have to make sure that justice have to happen in the futures. He is now going to be as a normal citizen and probably going to live as a senator in the country, which I think is going to work hard to be the leader of the Senate. That's he's going to do his best. That's the only way he can protect himself more. But I have to make it clear at the moment. Tshisekedi has mentioned that he wants to protect Kabila, but I feel like that is a personal statement from somebody being elected president. The country have to work with the justice, and we want to see what the role of justice is going to say about those victims or people being killed. And one thing we have to remember is Kabila has used 18 years of terror in the Congo, and that is an issue we have to make sure something have to happen in the futures. I've been fighting for justice, and I was still fighting for that. That's the only way we're going to have a stable Congo.
Thank you for coming in, Congolese politician Okito Tongomo, who's based here in the UK.